Hi, thanks so much for joining me. I'm Danny, otherwise known as the Glittered Rose, here on YouTube, but over on Instagram as well. I thought today I'd share with you this tag that I've made using lots of stamps and mixed media items. Sometimes you make something and you just fall in love with it, and for me, this tag is it. It's got lots of layers and textures and a lot of interesting little bits in the background, and I just think it's so gorgeous. So the background was created using some Distress Crayons along with texture paste and stamps. The focal image is a gorgeous stamp from Elizabeth Crafts, and I just think it's such a lovely tag. I'm so happy with the result. So if this is of any interest, please stick around, hit the like button, leave me a comment, and let me know down below what you think. I have to say, I'm excited to share it with you. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so off camera, I have die cut out some vintage paper along with my white base, and I've glued it down using a gel medium and then sealed that paper with the gel medium. Now I've grabbed out some gesso and just randomly going over that tag with the gesso. I want some bits lighter and some bits darker, and this just helps introduce a little bit of light and shade into the base. I'm not worrying too much because a lot of this will be covered up, I think, with the crayons. So I'm just going to dry this off now. So now it's dried, I'm going to go in with Scorched Timber Distress Crayon, and I am just going to scribble on this colour. I'm not going to worry too much about where I put it or how I put it. I just want to put some colour down in a haphazard type of manner. Just so it's nice and sort of messy. I'm not worrying too much. I'm just grabbing my paintbrush with water and melting that crayon. These crayons they're new to me, so I haven't really used them before, but they're so creamy. I have used Neo Color 2 before, and this is definitely a different type of a medium. So I'm just randomly going around with a bit of color. They're very pigmented. I like them so far. They're also not opaque, so you can see what's behind them, which I really quite like. Oh, I should mention that the purple is Villainous Potion, which I just think is a great color. I really do like how these go down. Just sort of trying to blend them together while keeping the integrity of each color. But I think they look quite good. I need to remember as well that a lot of this will be covered up, but it's sort of getting that sort of mixture of the colors that I quite like and wanted. Okay, so now I really want to try and brighten this up again. So I'm going in with a little bit of my gesso and just painting some stripes on just to add a little bit more brightness and add a little bit of white space to it. It will probably darken up when it dries. I think gesso has a tendency to pick up other colors, but it'll still have that little bit of um, brightness to it. Okay, so now I'm using a bit of a different technique. I'm going in with my crayon and a damp finger and blending it out using my damp finger. This makes it look more crayony, more sort of, they're funny, they're not really waxy, but it does make it look more crayony than using a heap of water and melting it. So That gives it just that little bit of extra sort of chunkiness and different look altogether. Excuse my fingernails. I usually really like sort of neutrally colours that sit back in my videos, but my son really wanted me to have blue-green nail polish done, so that's what I got done. And when I got it done, he didn't even like it. So I've stuck with these colours for I don't know how long I'm going to be able to wait it out. He didn't even like it or appreciate it. Kids, eh? Alrighty, I've grabbed a Tim Holtz stencil and I'm turned it around because I don't think that letters have to be, obviously letters. They can just be shapes or even backwards letters, it doesn't matter. So I'm just using a wet one just to remove the crayon from those areas. And it just adds a little bit of texture and a little bit of interest. And I really like this technique. I think it's looking really good. That's nice. I like that. I'll flip it around and do some letters going the right way now. Let's make it look pretty sort of grungy and textury. I like that. That looks good. Okay, so off camera, I did a little bit of sewing on my sewing machine and I love how it's turned out. I really do like sewing on projects like this. I think it really adds a little bit of interest to something. Okay, so I'm trying something new and I'm using the Distress Crackle translucent texture paste. I haven't used a crackle texture paste before and I don't believe I've ever used a translucent one, so I'm interested to see how this is going to look. So I just always put a thin layer on because I'm not patient. I don't like waiting days for it to dry. So the great thing about the Finnabair one is that you can use a heat gun and it dries really beautifully. It doesn't bubble or carry on. So I'm hoping I'll be able to speed this process up or it will dry quickly. We'll see. So I'm just going to spread this on and then I will leave it to dry while I clean up the stencil. Always either pop the stencil in water or run it under water after you use it because they really can ruin your stencils. So you don't want that happening. For this project today, I'm using my stamp set called Frida At Home by Elizabeth Craft Designs. I just think she is so gorgeous, and you get a die for her, but it comes with a lot of other really cool stamps, which I'll use on the tag as well. I'm putting her on watercolor paper, and I'm just stamping her a few times just to make sure that it stamps properly. But I just think she's the most gorgeous stamp. She's really lovely. I think I stamped her about 3 times. She's looking good. So now I'm going to use some frosted crystal and sprinkle Frida with it. I do love this embossing powder. It's very sort of textured. It gives a very different effect than, say, a translucent embossing powder. It's grittier and more textured. So for something like a mixed media piece where there's lots of texture, I think it just goes so well. While I'm heat embossing this, I'd like to invite you to my new Facebook group. It's called the Glittered Roses Paper Artists. So this group is for anyone who's a mixed media artist, a card maker, a paper crafter, whatever you call yourself. I'd love you to join. We're having monthly challenges, and this challenge for this month is purple. So this is my entry for the monthly challenge, and I would just love if you could join us. Oh, there's something about this stamp. I just love her. I think she's so gorgeous. She's really, really a great stamp. I've just grabbed out my Distress watercolor pencils and I'm just popping on a little bit of color on her. I don't want a lot. I think she looks really great how she is. So I'm just coloring her cheeks and lips, and I might color in the hair as well, along with some of the flowers. I really loved the idea of having watercolor pencils that match my inks and sprays. So that's why I got these watercolor pencils. However, I do like the result more than my good Derwent watercolor pencils. So I think I'll probably reach for these rather than the Derwents. They melt a lot easier, they're smooth, they're a lovely pencil. They feel a little almost crayony, but they're not. I don't know, they're great. I do recommend them. I'm going to die cut this off camera, and we'll get back to the tag. Using some stamps that came with this Frida at Home stamp set, I am just randomly stamping um, just in some places. I don't want anything too much. I'm just using VersaFine Clear in black. And I just want a little bit of extra detail in the background, but not too much. I've also gone around Frida with some vintage photo ink pad and die cut out of Spellbinder's cardstock some purple for the base of the tag. I'm just smooshing some of that crayon now into that texture paste area. Gee, talk about a mental block. And just rubbing it in and letting some of that clumpiness get between the circles there, just to add to the grunginess and the interest. Just with a damp finger. I'm really liking this. There's tiny little cracks in those texture texture circles or hexagons. They're yeah, it's really quite in person. It's quite an interesting result. I have a real crush on making tags at the moment. I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to do what I feel like doing, and I'm sure there'll be people out there interested in watching. You know, my stuff mightn't, all of my videos might not appeal to everyone, but you can pick and choose what you want to watch. And I really do appreciate everybody who watches. My channel is only relatively new, and it's fantastic. I love reading all your comments and just it's been amazing. I'm really loving this journey, and I appreciate everybody who takes the time to watch my videos. Oh, I'm loving how this is coming along. I just think this is a cool tag. This is me. It's got purple, my favorite color. Um, and it's vintage. I just love it. So I've grabbed out some lace trim and I'm gonna pop that under her. And I think I'm gonna age it up using a bit of the crayon. I'll see if that works. I'm just really having fun testing these new supplies that I have. I think it's that's what's fun about stamping or mixed media work is all the stuff you get to buy. I'm not sure my husband would agree. Sometimes he walks into my craft room and just sort of shakes his head. That lace looks nice and aged. So all I did was pop a bit of water on the crayon and had it not very even, so some thicker, not so watered down bits and some really watery bits. And that looks really good. I've rubbed some sewing thread between my fingers to make a little ball, I'm going to glue that down along with the lace and Frida, and I'll be back when it's all glued down. So I've popped Frida down on some foam squares, and before I pop the sentiment down, I've grabbed out my black soot crayon, and I'm just edging that. I always have to pop a frame or an edge around something because I believe it really brings your eye in and it finishes the piece. If I wasn't to do that, I would think it was missing something. So it's just little details I think really do make a difference. So before these crayons dry properly, you can smudge them out really nicely, and they have that really sort of grungy, vintagey look. I'm really happy I got these crayons. They're a little different to what I thought they might be, but you know, if I wanted neo colors, I would have bought neo colors. So I'm actually really happy with these. I think they're great, and I think that edging looks really nice. I've just looked up from my piece, and I have noticed what a pigsty my mat is, but I guess that just means I'm having a good time. So I'm going to glue a sentiment on and that thread and pop it onto the purple base. I'm using a Tim Holtz sentiment. It says Curiosity, and it's really cool. It's out of those vintage, I'm sure they were like label makers, and they had a dial and they sort of embossed the plastic. I don't know, but I think that these are cool. So I'm just popping that on, and I'll pop the base on, and I'll be back with the finished product. She's finished and I love her. I'm so happy with this tag. I think that it's just lovely. I think the colors are beautiful. I love Villainous Poison in the Distress range. I love this Elizabeth Crafts Frida at Home stamp set. And I also love the Aall Create Tag It Yourself die set for the tags. I think it's come together really nicely. I've enjoyed using my new products, which were the Distress Crayons and watercolor pencils. And I'm just really happy with the outcome. I think that one of my favourite tags, if not my favourite. All right, we're all finished. Let me know down below what you think. I really love reading your comments. I really appreciate anyone who takes the time to send me a message. Hit the like button, and if you're not a member, not a subscriber, I would love for you to join us. And remember, join our Facebook group. Okay, thanks, guys.